Last season when we arrived in Baku, it was the fake TB winning 2 races in a row for Red Bull, and then that's where things changed and everything swinged a different direction. So far this season into Baku, we have Cookie, who's won 3 races for Red Bull, 3 poles for Red Bull this season. They have a 6 in a row streak currently and trying to go for 7. And now we come to Baku where things could definitely swing a different way. Welcome along to RPL, Formula 1 Tier 1, Season 10, round number 4 of the season. We are in Azerbaijan, one of the most famous street circuits in the league for chaos, surprises, heartbreak, glory, anything else you can kind of find in RPL comes to this circuit. And it's a very special one, and one that can really provide a lot of action today. I'm your commentator, Ryan Searles, and a last-minute decision with 0-37 has led to Titan Iron returning once again. You were here for the other street circuit we did in Saudi Arabia. Welcome back.
It is good to be here again. Yep, I was here a couple weeks ago for the Jeddah stream. Another street circuit was quite interesting. Now we're at one of the more interesting and fun street circus, some wild moments in Baku. I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully, just saw with the attendance, but hopefully by looks of it, we may have a packed field. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Regardless, we still have a lot of competition, even with some people missing the race, so that's very nice to see as well. So, let's go over some of our headlines today, and during the break. So, we took a 2-week break, and now we're back for 2024. Just a reminder, the first winner of 2023 in RPL for F1 Tier 1 was Cookie at Bahrain during the Season 8 opener, I believe. Either way, we come now to the first round of 2024. Not the first race of the season, but the first race of the year. With some headlines. TB has had his Tier 1 contract for Mercedes extended, so he's going to be happy to stay there a little longer. He's been outperforming that car for sure, similar to how Owen has been in Tier 1. But Cookie's been so well to where TB's not really been able to challenge for a victory yet. Bourbon is now a Red Bull Academy reserve. He has been dropped from there and kind of transferred over without transferring officially, if that makes sense. Speaking of transfers, after today, the transfer window is open for teams, so be watching for someone like the Chiller in the Red Bull today, who has a lot of pressure on him. The last couple of weeks that we've raced, we've had a lot of talk about the Chiller in terms of his seat and how much it's under question. The fact is he's been in the top car for 5 races since his last podium, and he's not got a single podium since round 11, the halfway point of last season. Not a good look for him. There was a clause, I believe, with Red Bull, maybe not an official one, but at least with the Chiller for objectives there was one, where if the Chiller fails those objectives, Reese could come back for Red Bull. And this would be the perfect time if Reese does continue to perform well in that Alfa Romeo. He's put that car in Q3 and just shy of Q3 a couple of times here, and we'll find out if that actually happens or not. Ads demoted to reserve. Groggers is no longer the Ferrari team principal. It's Jack Miles. Also, speaking of Groggers, if he does show up in some way, he has a qualifying ban to serve. Same with Tadpole, same with Wavy. Also, Typical F1 is making his return to RPL as well tonight for reserves, unless there's any last minute changes. You have reserving in AlphaTauri tonight because both main drivers have missed. It's Blonde and Kipu. Cam is reserving as well called up to drive tonight for Ferrari after Josh has not made it clear that he's I'm terrible right now with that. Josh has made it clear he's not making the next 4 races and he's not going to be here, so that is why Cam for tonight is in Ferrari. Excuse me on that one. With that being said, I believe it's Gecko in the Alfa Romeo. He took a podium last night in Tier 2 for Alfa Romeo. Their return to the podium in Tier 2 in this game cycle. They already have one from Tier 1 with Jack Miles in this race last season. One more thing as well, besides the transfer window we spoke about. This is for Titans Academy, Alpine Academy. Be Good is now a full-time driver in Tier 1 for Alpine. He showed a lot last week in his debut Tier 1 race, but, you know, he made the naughty list of RPL before Christmas because he did not sign up through the sheet, so or sheet form, whatever you want to call it. He was disqualified from that race. So fingers crossed that since then he has signed up. Therefore, he does not receive any disqualifications tonight. 19 currently in the lobby, 1 joining later on. That should be Blonde.
Absolutely. So, one piece for clarification. Be Good did confirm to me the other day he did sign up. He is all set and good to go. So, no more worries about disqualifications. A little bit extra information to add further. The other reason why Be Good was moved up to full time as well, we just had I just noticed on the bottom of my screen we just had 4 drivers get booted out of the session.
Wow.
Reese Korsman, uh, Reese
Cookie, I
Korsman,
saw.
and 2 others just
Cookie
got
was
all
one.
booted out.
Yeah.
So that's so we're already first tier 1 into 2024 and already problems.
Lucky enough, if they do rejoin, hopefully, prayers and fingers crossed, they do not get kicked out through virtue of the game. L74G's another one. Wow. Okay, 5 of them. And Barney's wondering why it says rain. Well, we'll get any information on that one if there will be any rain. Reese is joined through a different name now, Dainty to Reese Dainty. Okay, I don't know if it'll allow him to get in his car now. With that being said, I forgot to do this yesterday for Tier 2, so I'm going to do it now. Let's go over the drivers and constructors standings. There's not really much of an impact things will have in terms of many things changing. Most of it will be for second place, but if Cookie ends up DNFing tonight, he can still keep the championship lead. He's got a 34-point gap over the fake TB. Scyther is in third. He won this race last season for Ferrari, 40 points back. The Chiller's our first one on the track. We'll go on board with him, especially when he starts a lap. But in the meantime, let's go over constructors. Red Bull have 103 points. McLaren are 48 points back. Then Ferrari 49 back. And Mercedes are just 4 points back of McLaren. So a nice close battle from second to fourth. One of the things a lot of the drivers have been talking about is, Aston Martin having a bit of struggles themselves. And, you know, compared to Tier 1, they've been okay on that aspect. But as for the other tiers, it's not really been so great for them. The bottom 5 in the constructors all have single digits on points. Alpine at 9, AlphaTauri at 8, Haas at 4, Williams at 3, and Alfa Romeo with just 1 point to their name. And now we see Cookie, who just joined back the session, has retired from the session due to glitching. Well, that is going to change things for Red Bull's pole position streak that they're trying to get. And this second driver to Chiller, they're going to have to rely on very massively now.
Yeah, I think by the looks of it, the issues with Cookie because not only did he show that he retired, but he got booted out of the session again. I'm gonna safely say this is gonna be bringing the Red Bull team some uncomfortable flashbacks because take back Monza last season. Reese had multiple connection problems, and now Zakaria's got the same problem.
I think we're getting a restart. There's a chance we're getting a restart.
Same with Barney. We got a major
The Chiller
problem
said
here.
restart, and Tadpole's question the reason
we
why.
are calling for a restart because the Chiller is out.
Yeah, let me just explain with what Tadpole was saying. He said, "Where was my restart?" Well, here's the difference, Tadpole. You know, with his situation, 1 or 2 drivers retired from the session. That's, I don't know, a tenth of the field. But with this situation, there was 4 to 5 drivers who lagged out, and it's if only some could, you know, rejoin and have it clean and others can't. You could easily say tough luck, but the thing is, it's happened to about 1/4 of the grid, so that's the issue. And one thing we've noted as well, in the Discord that we saw, we want to make you aware, we have seen it, wrong time of day as well. So that's a big key factor as well that we've got right now. So we're getting a restart here in the session. I don't know if it's going to be a full weekend restart or just a restart with the same conditions. I'm going to guess it's going to be a full restart, but we'll find out. I understand the frustration from Tadpole, but you know, there's definitely a difference when it's one or two guys lagging out compared to at least a fourth of the grid, and that's not what you want, especially with you know how much has happened there, and especially happening at the beginning of Q1 is different compared to later on too. I know it's very easy to say it's not, but the fact of the matter is there's a chance to restart when you don't want to restart the whole weekend for one or two people only. Now, I'm just trying to receive an invite. If anyone can do that, that would be great. For those of you who still are here, just hang in tight, of course. And also just remember we have some other races still to go this weekend. Just only Formula Endurance. We're in Portugal for tomorrow's action. I should be on deck for commentary, but not going to make it certain with these connection issues. I would not be surprised if there's some scare event that ends up happening to cause more Wi-Fi issues around the continent here. Continent, maybe country specifically. I'm not trying to put any conspiracy theory out there, but if that happens and you don't hear from me tomorrow, that's maybe why. I don't know. You always hear some scare events happening, so just putting it out there. Maybe I called it. I don't know. Either way, Titan, I think we should go over some things of previous races here in Baku since we did the same thing in Saudi when we got to restart.
Yeah.
What do you say? Yeah. All right. So, Renault got a Season 1 podium here. Toro Rosso won in Season 1. I'm not going to go over any trivia, but I just want to note some facts, and you can kind of hit on it a little bit more yourself. Alfa Romeo have a Season 9 podium here in Baku. McLaren have 2 Baku wins.
Yeah, if I remember with the Baku wins, one was done by Matt in Season 4, I believe it was. And then it was Season 5 or Season 6. It was either Joe Loke or TB that wound up collecting that one.
Yeah, that's a fair point there. I know Joe Loke won here once. HX4K won here once. Some of those guys are going on to do some great things. So it's very nice to see that.
Here's also another.
Make sure
here's another bit of a wild one. I think my memory's right. Had he not gotten a penalty for crossing the white line on the pit entry wrong, in Tier 2, it was a couple of seasons ago, Flynn won Baku in a Haas, but he got demoted to second because of that penalty.
Was that Tier 1 or Tier 2?
Tier 2. It was actually in Tier 2 a few seasons ago. I thought it was pretty dang funny.
I know. I was watching that back recently as well, and it's funny because last night I was speaking with Jack and Hunted and those guys about just some guys who've won or got podiums in lower cars that really shouldn't have been there. By the way, make sure you hit the spectator option, by the way, so you don't get put in the car. Don't want to have that happen.
Yeah, my bad.
That would be embarrassing. Okay, now Cam is showing up on the session. Okay, so we should be able to start now, I believe. Nope, someone lagged out. Now it's 18 out of 22.
Yeah,
trying to figure out who that was.
It's B. B's the only one missing.
Yeah, so for people who don't know, B is Be Good. We're still gonna call him Be Good unless he ends up in a wall. We'll call him Be Bad.
Oh shit.
Well, it is Baku. It is easy to catch people out like that. So.
Well, I mean, so far we haven't seen anyone Leclerc themselves in Castle.
We only had 2 minutes of a qualifying session. It was kind of hard to in just those 2 minutes.
True.
Now, I will say, The castle section, I did some laps around here myself in a Red Bull to see what things would be like. I'm very much off the pace compared to what I used to be. I haven't touched this game since the F2 finale, but I will say that castle section is very tricky because it seems like, and I don't know if it's the same way for anyone else, but it seems like every other corner you can brake just a little bit late when you're not behind someone, but that castle section is the one area where you can't really do that. You have to brake early, and it throws you off. How early do you want to brake? Are you aware of how much your tires are wearing? So how much earlier do you brake? There's a lot of questions that get raised as a driver in that situation, but just got to do it right.
Yeah, and it mainly goes with that first turn of the castle itself because of how tight it is. If you brake slightly too late, you're going off into the outside wall. If you brake just a bit too early, you're tagging the inside wall. Believe me, I've done both of them, and
Yeah,
only
it
one
sucks.
time it did not DNF me. Any other time that I'd race back, if I turn a bit too early, clock that wall, there goes my left front. If
I
I
feel that.
go off into the outside, there goes my right front. It's really tricky if you're not careful.
Yeah, for sure. I think another thing that we have to consider is, I guess, in a way, the lack of overtaking too. In some places, there's no places you can force anyone off here or have raceable surface on the runoff. So I guess that's good in terms of, you know, the way the rules are written. I guess you could say a little controversially, but the chiller, who has just fixed assist restrictions, has now told the Tier 1 drivers to ready up, and let's find out what happens here in Tier 1 Baku. For tonight, we have a qualifying session getting underway. Last season's pole time was a 39.6. A lot of drivers talking about their time trial times and how fast the chiller has seemed. But the chiller has seemed fast and near Cookie in a lot of the races in time trial when practicing. The question now becomes, can the chiller convert this to the race? It's been since the beginning of last season that the chiller last won a race, and the halfway point that he last was on a podium.
Yeah, the chiller is basically in the shadow of some of the other big teams, especially also with his teammate. He has the capability. He just has to find the right stride and the right magic to put it forward and continue to put off consistent wins, consistent podiums. I think he's got the capability of doing it. We'll just have to wait and see what will happen.
I mean, there's a reason he's the season 1 champion. People can't deny that at all.
Hmm.
So as much as some may argue the fact that there was not much competition that season, I understand that. But at the same time, there were people who were fast and up there, and they just weren't consistent like the Chiller was during that point. Although the Chiller may have had no competition during that time, he was consistent. And now we just have to be able to see with the Chiller, can he find what he once had? We know he's a driver who can run up front, can perform. He's just got to do it consistently. And if he doesn't get a podium tonight, I think, and I hate to say it, I am rooting for the Chiller to keep his seat and, challenge Cookie for the sake of our competition here in RPL. But if he doesn't get a podium tonight, I really think he should be sacked. And I'm sorry to say it, but when you have a lot of drivers who can be put in that Red Bull and challenge Cookie and help for the performance of the league as Wavy serves his qualifying ban, then he's shown that he doesn't deserve to be in that seat then at that point, if that comes true. The end of last season in AlphaTauri, the worst car, he was putting his performances near the points, and he had strong pace sometimes, but could never deliver it. So I'm interested to see what happens tonight in comparison to that. We know he can do it, but let's see him actually pull it off. Let's see that time trial pace actually be converted to a race or qualifying. I don't care if he's being beaten by Cookie, but if he's within a tenth of Cookie, or at least less than 2/10 of Cookie, that's where he should be. We saw in Bahrain he was off by 6/10. Yes, it's one of Cookie's better tracks, but at least in the first one he was off by 6/10, then closed in. And then in the other races, obviously he had some things you can make an excuse about in Australia, like a lap 1 collision. Same thing with Bahrain, a lap 1 collision. But he was being beaten by Be Good at the end of Australia, who also was in that same lap 1 collision, and was behind him at one point after that lap 1 collision out of DRS. So I know there were safety cars to help that, but when that was the case, being beaten by Be Good, who's in a slower car in the McLaren, who we're going on board with now, of Korsman, who's going to be the first one to start a lap, then that to me raises a concern. So we'll find out what happens tonight. And yeah, for the sake of competition, I am secretly rooting for the Chiller. Slight commentary bias, but you know what? Let's see a good race. The Chiller's the closest one who can pull it off, I'd hope. Maybe Scyther too.
Well, anything is likely possible. I mean, as you mentioned, the Chiller being the Season 1 champion. I mean, I wound up taking part in Tier 1 Season 1. And the competition in that field, it was actually here. It was here and there. There was some good competition. There was people like Owen. There was Portly Boot. Also, the Chiller, he did race like the first 4 races, not in the Ferrari. He was in the Alfa Romeo for the first 4 races. Then he got promoted up into the Ferrari along with Owen as well. After the 2 prior Ferrari people, one got banned. The other, who was Zatsi, he demoted himself down, so that resulted in switch. But the Chiller had good, consistent results. He raced pretty good. The competition was solid. I mean, he did start to pull away just a little bit as the season ended off, but him and Owen racing together, they were actually a formidable team in Season 1 of Tier 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Reece Dainty's going on a lap right now in the Alfa Romeo. Let's see what he could do. There's a little bit of lag right here. I don't know if this is my end or not, but if this lag continues, I'm going to have to switch drivers maybe. I think it is Reece a little bit. I'm going to switch to Korsman. Korsman's behind him going purple in the first sector. And this is a tricky area. He rear locks it and almost hits the wall. Luckily, keeps it off the barrier. But I think for the sake of Q1, though, he should keep going, and he is going to keep going. And we will watch that castle section wall if anyone does hit it. But you could see the difference from this game to last is that there's a little bit more of an opening right there. No curbage on the exit.
I just missed that little issue that Korsman had because I was just checking on what you were saying about with Reece. Yeah, it is confirmed. He does have a bit of a lag issue. Hopefully, it's not going to be too severe as the event goes on. But yeah, Korsman, I don't see any damage. He's still going decently well, so he should be okay. Well, Reece got booed out.
I did say Monza trauma, and that happened.
Yep.
So, Korsman says, of course, man, I'm going to be the first one to complete a lap. Here he comes across the line. It will be a 42.9. The Haas behind him is likely Minico, and he goes faster. So, obviously, Korsman's mistake cost him likely a good amount of few tenths. We have an Alpine coming across the line. Is it someone starting a lap or finishing one? I believe it's someone finishing. Then we'll go to the next one. Yes. Williams, sorry. Beatnik on enters. Red Bull.
Oh, Kipu's crashed in the castle.
Oh, well, there's the first one who's claimed the castle section.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I was just on board.
What?
I was just on board with Cam. Kipu did pull Leclerc, clocked the wall. Cam came in and clocked the right rear against the wall. He's still okay and still going, but he had to abandon the lap after clocking the wall. That was a bit of a spooky, scary moment for Cam right there.
All right, so we got drivers setting laps. Now we got Cookie on a lap. Your previous winner from the last 3 weeks, he's trying to do something that only a few drivers have done, including the list of Scyther, Luke, the Chiller, winning 4 more races in a row. So now Cookie comes through one of his trickiest sections that he talks about in this game. The castle section almost clocks the wall right there. It's such a tight section where it kind of feels like Saudi Arabia in this area when the game first came out. You're just so close to the barriers, and right there, not as close because that curbing on the right side was removed. Now Cookie comes through the last bits of Sector 2. He's going to try to maximize the gears, go to 8th, then on the curbing right there, which could mess you up. Luckily, the rear lock helped him out, and he didn't rear lock it like Korsman did. Luckily, Korsman did keep it off the wall when he did rear lock. Cookie, a little bit of a slide there, nothing too severe. Should help him out in the long run, so he's going to cross the line. Then a little bit further back as his teammate teammate, the Chiller, crossing the line, but now Cookie comes through what is going to be DRS here. Something we're going to see a lot of mind games about. Maybe something we'll see in terms of overtakes a lot here. This usually gets powerful. Cookie's in a straight line car that helps him on the run to the line. 2:13. He's going to go fastest. 4.4. What does Darius do? The Alpine crosses the line of Be Good. Second fastest. The Chiller, what can he do? We've been watching him. He is within a tenth of his teammate. So that is exactly where he should be.
I just read. I was just looking at the Discord to see if see what's going on with Reese, figuring out why he disconnected and if he's coming back, and just saw something that Leighton just put out that is a little bit. I don't know what to say on that, but yeah, the Chiller within a tenth of his teammate, very good as you were mentioning earlier. He's shown, as I said, he is showing his stride, and I think he's got the capabilities to keep it going and keep it consistent. Just has to have it week after week, and I believe he's got the capability to get it done. Only one driver left to finish a time. I'm on with him now, that being Scyther in the McLaren, flying his way down the track. Some of the other cars are heading onto the pits and recharging themselves. Scyther, third fastest with a 40.7.
So, McLaren setting their sights clear with Scyther that he's going to be one to challenge for a podium tonight. Won this race last season. So, we'll find out what he can do. Let's see who else is on a lap. I think Zakaria is coming through the castle now. He scored points the last race for Williams in Australia, which was very good to see. Yellow flags, that's for McLaren backing off. Either way, here comes Zakaria. It was back in Season 7 when there was 7 runners left in that race. 16, 17 took part in it, where Zakaria was on route for a potential podium. Had a penalty to his name, though, and Zakaria's backed off, so we'll switch. But in that exact race, he collided with Red Fire, who is just right ahead of him, funny enough. So always seems that those two are together, whether they meet it or not. And Kim and Scyther, I think, are just, playing a little bit of fun here on the track. I'm trying to see who else is on a lap, if anybody else is, but I don't think we have anyone on track right now. That castle section is going to catch people out as it's done to Kipu. And I heard when the Chiller was practicing, it was one thing that did catch him out.
Yeah, like I said before, castle, if you're not careful, it will tear you apart. And it's not just a castle that can also throw people off as well. The fast chicane right at the end of the lap, that can also throw people off if they don't hit it in the right way. Because you may take it might turn just a bit too late, and you'll be drifting up and smashing the walls. I would not be surprised if either that section or the castle is gonna result in someone DNFing in the race and resulting in a safety car. And one other thing I just noticed, just even after that little scary moment that he had in the castle, Cam did fire it back and put the Ferrari in 8th with a 41.5. But I think it's also really strange to see Cam and Jack, both Ferraris, in the top 10, 8th and 9th fastest for Q1 right now.
Yeah, you'd expect it to be a little bit better. I agree with that. So, Barney looks like our next runner to cross the line and start a lap. I'll cover Sector 1, then I'll have you cover the rest of it. But with that being said, currently our bottom 4 is Beatnik, Wavy, Reese, and Kipu. Beatnik has a lap on his hands. Reese does not. Wavy has a qualifying ban. Kipu crashed out. And L74G believes he is safe by retiring. Be Good the same, just ahead of that. L74G complaining prior to today's race, maybe thinking of not racing just because of how poor he was when doing time trial. He was doing 40s in a Williams. And 40, I mean, there's a major difference on time trial compared to qualifying. That's for sure. And I know it's Q1. Not everyone pushes 100% no tile. I'm aware of that. But you still want to make sure you're safe because that area, you have Redfire, Zakaria, Minico, all those guys who can improve. So it's a little more than just, how far they are off the top. But Barney's backed off. Jack's on a lap, so we'll go to Jack instead, and we'll still cover Sector 1. Comes through Turn 2, which is a tricky part in that right side. DRS applied now on the run toward Turn 3. But, yeah, with that said, L74G was not happy about his lap time, fell off the pace. So it's good to see him at least within 2/10 of TB with that being said now, as TB has made a switch in the off weeks, the 2 weeks that we had, to PC, coming through a couple corners here of Jack Miles. He's down by 800ths, but Titan, I'd expect him to improve throughout this area. And to kind of get to your point, No Tile, I don't expect Jack to improve a lot. As you're saying, No Tile, it is Q1. That's very obvious. He's not going to push so often Q1, but at least improve by, I don't know, a 10th here. Therefore, you're ahead of L74G or near him. Therefore, if anyone makes a shock, run at the end of this, that, you're not in the risk of elimination.
Completely agree with you. I mean,
nothing's
in regards to the laps for Baku, Sector 1 is not that bad. I mean, you can hit it just right, and you'll be fine. And then on your next lap, you're off by just a little bit. It's Sector 2 that is the more technical part, because Jack just finished his Sector 2, and he's over 8/10 up. So his Sector 2 was not that great in his prior lap. He's definitely doing much better as he rumbles his way down the line, getting close to 215 miles an hour, heading in turn 1, or fastest, a 40.8 for Jack. But yes, Sector 2 is the more technical part, because you have some tight corners, you have the castle, and other areas. You have to hit your marks in just the right angles, just in the right places, and just hitting them just right can make a difference in just gaining a few tenths and making sure you do not get out get put into the relegation zone by the time qualifying comes to an end.
Well, and I think the thing is, too, with Jack Miles, is he got a podium here in an Alfa Romeo last season. It's one of his better tracks. He's already won for Ferrari twice, so you don't expect Jack Miles to be 9th or 10th. Maybe in Q1 you do, but still, fine. Cam also won in Formula Endurance here for Ferrari, not at the circuit, but here in RPL. Just the last time he raced in 2023 for Ferrari. He has one previous start for Ferrari, two previous starts for Ferrari in Tier 1, Saudi this season, and earlier last season at Zandvoort as well. We've got Minico coming through now, and let's cover turn 1, turn 2. Here we go, 210, 211, maxing out right there. Inside curb, he's going to use a little bit of that. Traction can be tough around this circuit for sure. You're down in the battery already. And now, shifting down the gears, Reese Dainty's joined back the session, and Minico is going to use all the circuit he can to find some time. You can see him ducking all the way to the left line here. Goes back to the right for the braking zone. Already below 70% on that battery. You can see how much battery these drivers use here. Now, turn 3, where that wall is very easy to hit. Turn 4, the same could be said as well. You saw a small lockup from Minico, but he should be safe. And right now, he is just on the cusp of being eliminated, but there's still a long way to go. And speaking of a long way to go, 4/10 up in the time, Titan. Last season's pole time, when we got to Q3, was 7/10 to the second best driver. So Minico showing that it is the case here where there's a big separation in lap time.
Completely agree. It looks like... Ooh, what happened?
That was a smack in the wall a little bit, but he should be okay. Don't see any damage. That was Minico who did that. Oh, but anyway, okay. Continue with Minico.
Anywho, so I just saw a little bit ago Barney has gone into the pits, but given with the amount of time that's left, I don't think he's going to make it in time, so I think Barney is going to be knocked out. Hopefully Reese will get out in time and hopefully get a lap in, perhaps. I mean, he's going to have like a few seconds to get it done. Looks like Beatnik is heading off. Whoa, my lord! Beatnik just goes sliding in the pit lane and still keeps it together. He's in okay shape. And yeah, Reese is out. Reese is heading out onto the track with 2 minutes 15. I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, he
Barney,
should be. While that
not
happened,
sure.
While that happened, Minico went P10. Cam is crossing the line now for Ferrari and P3. Exactly what I expected. However, far ahead of his teammate Jack Miles and a 10th within that top time in Q1. Less than 2 minutes remaining. You spoke about drivers getting out on track. Well, finally, TTM Barney has got out on track, and he may actually be okay. And Gecko's been into a wall. Gecko has gone off the track. Some drivers retiring. Typical's one of them. He's on the cusp, and that will be a concern. But Gecko may not get another lap in here as he's picked up damage. So
Yes.
that is crucial. Who do we got
Very
next?
crucial indeed.
got
And
Red Fire?
Reese
Yes.
disconnected again. So Reese is
That's
out.
done.
Barney.
Barney's going to be the one to knock anyone out if it's anybody. And Beatnik should be safe. With that being said, Beatnik, who thought he was going to be miles off the pace this weekend, is going to be through to Q2.
Yeah. So now it just all falls down to Barney. Can he beat Typical's time of 42.009 to get himself into Q2? He just has to beat him by basically 32 hundredths of a second in order to get himself into Q2.
Yep, so Reese's situation becomes worse, which is unfortunate. Red Fire Tiger is backing off and headed in the pit lane knowing that he's safe. Zakaria's on an outlap, and is he going to come across the line now? No, he's going to pit. So a lot of these drivers believing they're safe, and they're exactly correct about that, but the one who needs to make sure he's in is TTM Barney. You hear from the show Barney. Barney had an imagination, and I think Barney's imagination here could come true of getting into Q2 if he can just improve by a little bit here. Needs 3/10 and a little more. Comes across the line at 210 miles per hour, 20 seconds remaining, and now he starts a lap. Turn 1, he comes through where easy to go off and easy to break a little too late, especially when following somebody. Turn 2, got to keep it off the barriers. You can go to this right side and be right next to the barrier. He's doing just that. DRS applied. Now on the run to turn 3, he's trying to find so much time here in this lap. He just needs 3/10. Checkered flag is waving. He's the only one on track. So, turn 3. A little tap on the wall, but he should be okay to go. This is exactly where the struggles can continue for a driver in this section when you get to turn 4. Now the chicane at 5 and 6. He's down on the time, but I'd expect him to improve in the rest of the lap here. We saw Jack Miles down in Sector 1 earlier in his lap, but he improved throughout the rest of the way. Now he's got turn 7 here to negotiate. A little wide. Now using a bit of the curb. You gotta brake early here for the castle, else you're out of the session. Rear locks almost into the barrier. He's keeping it so tight right here and on the limit. What is gonna happen here at TTM Barney? Can TTM Barney find some time at the end of the second sector to have some hope here for the fast chicane? Here he comes. Now, this braking zone, which gets so tough, you saw a slight lockup, but he's pushing the limits, Barney is. He's trying to find everything he can. He is up by 2/10. He needs to find more Titan. Sliding.
Yeah, it's just a little bit off, 2.272 up, which means he's got to gain at least another half a hundredth, a half a tenth in order to do it. See if he's got it as he comes down to the line. Can he bump Typical down? That answer is
No.
oh man,
No, it's
I
not.
wonder
He
by
can't
how
do it.
much.
It was just by less than a tenth, I think, as far as I saw. It switched away a little quick, but that is unfortunate for TTM Barney, who got Aston Martin's best finish of the season back in Saudi Arabia and is out of qualifying. Your top time here from Cookie is a 40.4, leading a Red Bull 1-2. Cam behind, Scyther and Jack round out your top 5. We'll go through some shockers here and some disappointments, but out of qualifying is TTM Barney and just a little over a hundredth.
Wow.
Wavy Knife, the teammate, also out due to a qualifying ban he's serving from last week. Reese Dainty, internet issues, has put Alfa Romeo out of the session. They took a podium in this race last season and yesterday in Tier 2. Kipu for Al AlphaTauri crashed out of the session. And now we have 5 more remaining to go out in this session for Q2 qualifying.
Wow. I mean, 12 thousandths of a second.
Wow.
Typical got into Q2. That is, wow. That was just very, very close right there. It's been a while since it's been that. Oh my Lord, it's raining.
Yes, I think they were talking about some chance of rain, so this is going to be crucial for these drivers to get out on track immediately and get a lap time in. We're going to be watching who's out quickly and who's not. You don't want to have a Jack Miles situation in Brazil where you have to go to the bathroom and then come back and realize, oh no, I can't get a lap in and get into the next session. That's what happened to him in Brazil in Q1 last season, and we hope it doesn't happen to anybody this time because it is crucial to get out for a lap immediately. I do wonder how long this rain's going to stay. I'm going to check Luke's stream. Luke's going out now. Hold on. Never mind. I can't do that. So, we'll get any word from the drivers that will help out. But, chat, we see a lot of you here. First time viewer from Argentina. Couple things as well from Invade in the chat. Barney, Beatnik, a couple others. Good to see you all here. Get us predictions because everybody's out on track except for Be Good and Minico, who are now just exiting the pit lane. And it could be risky that they're the last ones to come out of the pit lane.
Who's the first one out?
We have an off Scyther. Scyther's crashed. And that's at turn 3. Scyther, who won this race last season, is out of qualifying. That is unfortunate for the McLaren driver who was close to challenging the ones up front in Q1. He can't be doing that during Q2, let alone for pole. He's going to start at least a best of 11th.
That is just super unfortunate. I'm thinking, but maybe Scyther got braked a little too late, locked up, and just went right off. That can happen if you're not careful. But yeah, everyone is out just scrambling to get themselves a good position before the rain comes in. This is going to result in some people getting bunched up. I mean, anything's likely.
Williams Heritage, they're the first 2 drivers with Beatnik and Zakaria to come across the line and start a lap. We said it was a race against time, and for Scyther, it was a race against keeping it out of the walls, and we're going to have to make sure these drivers keep it out of the walls. There's yellow flags in the last sector. That is for Be Good and all these drivers trying to find space from one another, but this is like real life with Monza and all these other tracks. You just can't find space from one another, and Be Good's had to back off because Minico's gone in front, and now Zakaria, the first one to start his lap. So treacherous stuff in the back of the grid. We're going to watch what happens with Be Good and them when they come across the line. But it's now or never to set a lap. You have to do so. And these Williams boys, even though the rain is coming down, it's not too hard, but it's going to affect your laps for sure and cause things to be slower. Now, everyone's across the line, but there's someone in the background, an Alfa Romeo of Gecko, who is backed off here. So, Gecko's had something happen. Be Good's had something happen. We'll watch when people cross the line. I think Gecko's still the cause of the yellow flags, but Zakaria comes through the first sector, a 37.9. Definitely not as good as Q1 for sure. The times are degrading, but we now have to find who can get across the line without any mistakes. Here we come to Castle, a very crucial section for our drivers. We may switch through some of them just to make sure they make it through safe. Zakaria comes through safe. Behind that, Beatnik looked to be safe as well. Here comes the McLaren. Here comes more of them across the Castle section area. Zakaria sliding, but he's got to keep it out of the walls, and he's got to keep the rest of this lap clean in order to get through to the top 10. We look at some of our teams who've not made qualifying for the 3rd round this season. Williams is one of them. Haas is one of them. But Williams had their first 2 drivers to come across the line. And now you can see the track is getting more wet. So now you have to come across the line. You have to get a lap in. And this is crucial for these Williams boys to not bin it in these last couple of corners. Keep it on the limits, but don't hit the wall. And now, while DRS is still enabled, apply it. Apply it while you still can. Come across the line and be happy with the lap. Luke's crashed out. So chaos is already ensuing from some of the top cars. Zakaria, good on his lap. Beatnik just a little better. TS Korsman says, of course, man, I'm going to get through. Red Bull, next of Cookie and DeChiller. DeChiller goes top of the board. Now it's a race against time. Here comes some more. Cookie, typical. TB, Red Fire, Cam. Now, Minico, and Cam and Jack. Be Good is 3rd fastest, even with a mistake on the lap. And Minico crossing the line with a mistake. He got pushed almost into the wall, but he's safely through for now. And Gecko back to the pit lane after invalidating the in-lap. Because of that, we now have the bottom 5 being 3 top cars. TB, Luke, Scyther being 3 of those, and Redfire and Gecko joined them. So we could be seeing a Haas through in Q3 for the first time since round 20, Brazil, where they were P8, and a Williams in the top 10 where they were P9 with Borbin, round 18 in Texas last season.
Yeah, the rain's coming down much more, bit more heavier, which means the DRS is going to be disabled probably pretty shortly. Reason Gecko backed off, I wound up seeing it as he was coming further into view. Gecko, either in turn 1 or turn 2, got damage on the right side of the wing. That's why he had to back off. And and Luke crashing out at the exit of the fast chicane right near the end of the lap. I mean, it's definitely on the outside wall. That's where he probably hit it. Because that wall can surprise you if you even if you just lightly graze it, that wall will just annihilate you beyond all belief. But yeah, so it is going to be a big upset seeing both Mercedes knocked out of Q2. But I mean, the big surprise, the Chiller the fastest with a 45.6, even with these tricky conditions, and his teammate Cookie 8 tenths down.
Yeah.
But I think it's mainly on the course because in a good chunk of the lap, Cookie was stuck behind TV for a good chunk of the lap. So maybe,
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible maybe Cookie got stuck in that dirty air of TV, and that cost him quite a bit of time.
And B Goods crashed out, entering toward the pit lane. Well, now,
Oh my lord!
I will say, Minico retiring from the session, believing he is safe. I would assume the same as well. I'm just gonna put this out there. I'm gonna get it on my screen right now. The best qualifying from Williams, I believe in RPL Tier 1, I could be mistaken, is P6, Season 3 France. And right now they're P6 and P7 with Beatnik and Zakaria. They're ones who can see an upset tonight. Haas have a best qualifying of P4 from Mexico Season 2. We have some teams in here who are going to make Q3 who you didn't expect to do so. Haas haven't made it since last season. Williams haven't made it since last season. Gecko starts a lap. We'll watch him, but I doubt he'll make it through with this condition. So top cars include the Chiller on top. Exactly what he needs to do. Korsman, Cam, Jack, Cookie. And you could say Typical's a top car in there, but I don't think he interferes with that top 5. Maybe he keeps the Williams from qualifying 6th or better, though. And still, if this Q3 session is like this, in just a couple of moments' time, as DRS is disabled, that we could have a really interesting session on our hands.
Yeah, with the DRS now gone, I mean everyone's retiring, and they want to have DRS to say they want everyone to just retire and just go on to Q3. But Gecko is still on track. He's actually on a new lap. And actually, Red Fire just came back out onto the track.
Oh!
And, yep.
Gecko around. No surprise there with these conditions. And Red Fire, the Academy teammate, watches that happen right in front of him. Yikes. Minico says he was the second to last driver to cross the line, and that's exactly correct. There were some guys backing off right in front of him. Minico was on the left side and almost got pushed into the barrier from it. And, you know, Cookie talking about Typical trying to pass him. Some other drivers talking about just simple stuff that happened in the session where, you know, like you had said, they were behind others and it affected them. But some of these guys who were in top cars, though, in that top 5, didn't affect them too badly, clearly. Unless your name is Cookie.
Yeah, basically. So, well, we're just waiting on I guess we're just gonna be waiting on Red Fire and Gecko to basically come in and just call it for their sessions, because I mean Gecko's not going to be beating anyone. Red Fire, it's not going to improve his time. So I mean it's not really the point to waste your tires any further, you two, because I mean you guys are pretty much out of it. You want to just save your tires for the race itself.
Who's to say Beatnik and Jack don't go back out there? I'm kidding. Hey, I say that and then that happens. But Centrix in the chat saying Cookie's selling. Well, let's find out by Q3. It's now up to Red Fire to find out, does he improve, does he not? If he does, it would be very interesting because it knocked Typical out of the session in a way, because, you know, it'd be from 9th or 11th, because, you know, you see, oh, Be Good, he's 28 thousandths off the top time. Why is he 10th? Well, he crashed out, for those of you just joining us. And when someone crashes out, it puts you to 10th. You could still get through to Q3 with that being said, but doesn't mean you compete in this session because you crashed out. And that's exactly the case here, especially if Redfire in some magical world, like a Leclerc 2018 Brazil moment, were to improve. And if he were to, it'd definitely knock the Alpine out. And he's just looking
nope.
at crashing castle, and there you go. That's a front wing broken. See how hard these conditions are?
They're bad.
I think Redfire is making a fool of himself, and I hate to say that, Redfire, but I think that's what the drivers are taking it like themselves in the chat too.
I mean, if it was raining in the race, I think Redfire were if it was raining and the inters was actually active right at the start, maybe Redfire will actually be doing a little bit better because Redfire is actually pretty decent in the wet. I mean, think back to season 7 of Tier
Netherlands,
1
yep.
in Zandvoort, where Redfire came close to winning the Zandvoort race because of the mixture of conditions, with it being clear during for the early stage, then rain for a little while, and then it dried up with like 8 laps to go. Redfire was leading it almost all the way until Jacob passed him with 6 to go, and that resulted in Jacob getting his first Tier 1 win. But Redfire in wet conditions, he's pretty decent in those types of conditions.
Yeah, but there's no way you improve in these conditions. There's no way. I mean, you'd have to have grip hacks in order to do that, and I think only 2 people, maybe 3 people who've joined RPL can do that. But either way, we've now got a qualifying session in Q2 ended. We can't really get a pole time here with that being said because it's like 6 seconds slower than last season's pole time. But the Chiller's on top in this session. Of course, Ben and Cam, the top 3 different teams in that top 3. Bottom 5, you have TB out on pace. Redfire the same way. Gecko couldn't get a lap in. Many mistakes. Scyther and Luke, 2 of the most winning drivers in terms of poles and podiums, out of qualifying. So even these conditions, let alone this circuit, is catching out some of our big name drivers. And Be Good, by the way, who was coming back to the pit lane when it happened, crashed. And we have 9 drivers who will be competing in this qualifying session. Just about 50% of them being in top cars, the other 50 being in the bottom 5 cars, you could argue. And this session is raining, but does it dry up? Now becomes our question. We'll have to ask the drivers. I'm going to quickly join the Discord chat with Scyther and them to see what they see in conditions. Well, we'll find out what happens, Titan. We have a run for pole position now.
Yeah, good fight. This will be an interesting fight for the pole position. I'm not even gonna bother to possibly say probably think what the pole time is going to be because it's gonna be much. It's gonna be much slower than what it is under the dry conditions. But if I had to put down my top 3, who I think is going to be top 3 at the end of Q3, I'm going to say in no particular order. It's going to be the Red Bull pairing of Cookie and the Chiller, and Korsman will be the 3rd person to round out that top 3. And just like in Q2, Zakaria is going to be his first one out on track for Q3. Woo! Got a little loose in the braking zone of turn number 3, but keeps it in control. I mean, this is what I'm seeing on my perspective. I'm not sure if the stream's showing the same perspective as I am. I can't really tell, but yeah, rain's coming in pretty hard, and I mean, Zakaria and Miniko are slipping and sliding in some of these corners.
Well, I've just received word. I joined the Chaos chat quickly to find out, and I think as far as those guys are aware, it looks like it's going to rain the whole session, and there's a chance it could be full wets on track at some point. So I mean, it's inners, but it looks like it's heavy rain, as Cookie was saying, and Korsman as well. They both kind of agreed on that. It sounded like when I joined. So, as far as we're aware, it's not drying up anytime soon for this qualifying session. So, we're gonna see maybe a race to the line again. And if it were to be the case, we could see Minico do something for Haas. So just to keep you guys in mind, because, I mean, if that is the case where these conditions do get worse, I want to keep you all in mind of teams who've got pole positions and teams who have not. So there's only 4 teams who've never gotten pole, and there's 2 of them in this session with Williams and Haas. And Williams have 2 cars to do it with, Haas have 1 car. And we could be seeing a chaotic session on our hands with 2 of those bottom cars going out first. Minico's the one across the line now. We'll go on board with him. I'll give it to you halfway in the lap, Titan. It's just treacherous here. You're going to see almost a 2-minute lap. They look like they're struggling so badly here through turn 1. You can't even get through without rear locking to some extent or front locking, and you can see Minico doing just that. I mean, you got to remember, as a Tier 1 driver here, let alone a commentator or a viewer, the difference between Tier 2 and Tier 1 from these drivers is Tier 1 is ABS forced off. So we need to see how these drivers tackle this. You can just see Minico's having a hard time making the braking zone. And I think whoever the car is behind him, it's either Zakaria or Beatnik, it's Zakaria, just having trouble keeping up with Minico just because it's so treacherous out there. We saw a 37 or a 39 through the first sector the last time at the Q1 session throughout the first laps, or sorry, Q2 session through the first laps. It's a 42 for Minico, so it's absolutely terrible through here. I want to go to 7 and 8, then transfer it over to you, Titan, because this is the trickiest section of them all. I'd say it's trickier in the wet than the dry, but at least you have more heads up here. Minico comes to the castle. He looks fine. Zakaria in the background coming through now. Should be okay. And Minico can use some exit speed here with no curb on that right side.
Yeah, Minico just making his way through. I mean, like I said, Sector 2
Typical
is
to
very
wets.
technical, very tricky. You have to basically tiptoe your way around. Minico made it through that corner nice and easy. Now completing through Sector 2. I can really put down some of the power down, but you have to take it nice and easy in the fast chicane. You can't do it flat out in the wet like you did in the dries. I mean,
Hold on,
keeps
Titan,
a
I need to
good
cut in
amount
for
of
a second.
throttle and off and easy.
I just want to say, keep in mind, Titan, as Minico crosses the line, Korsman is 4/10 down on the second sector, so this could be it.
Oh, here we go.
Minico.
57.3 to kick it off. 58.5 for Zakaria. Korsman coming in. Well, 57.9. My
This
goodness.
is looking very
I wonder
likely
what the
for
Red Bulls
Haas.
are going to respond with.
Beatnik comes across the line. Beatnik's ahead of his teammate. The Red Bulls are next. The Chiller's only second.
Oh
He
my
was fastest
God.
in the last sector. Here comes Jack Miles. A podium last season. Can he go pole? Yes, he can. Oh, my goodness. Jack Miles by 5/10. Can Cookie take it off of him? You bet he can. By just only 28 thousandths. But we need to give a shout out to Minico, though. First across the line and still with top cars across the line. He's 3rd fastest for Haas. Can Cam knock him out of that top 3? What can Cam do for Ferrari, the teammate of Jack? Cam across the line. He goes pole.
Wow.
I knew with Korsman struggling, I was like, I have to cut in because this could maybe be it. Maybe wets are better. We'll find out from typical, but oh my gosh.
I mean, Minico to put that Haas into the top 5 is just mind-blowing right now. I mean,
It is. And you know what? I don't doubt some of these drivers are, going for a second run right now on these tires. I don't doubt it.
Let's see what Minico's
He's
got.
only down by 2/10 in the first sector.
No, he's not improving.
Some of these guys have backed off, but not all of them.
Cookie
Zakaria's down by 9
declared
tenths.
himself.
Oh, that's the first of the big name drivers in Red Bull to do so. Cookie's made a mistake, and this could be crucial because if he doesn't get back to the pit lane now or goes back to the pit lane in the retirement section, this could be treacherous for him. But first got to challenge Cookie and Red Bull in their consecutive streak for poles. Cam.
Wow. I'm still
Just
still blown away with Minico being 4th right now. I think it's very, 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 very good. Then Jack getting
Yes.
ahead, Cookie getting ahead. I mean, Cookie, it was kind of expected if he was going to get better, but then Cam coming in to going quicker than Cookie, that one was also a bit another surprise as well. And to see literally the Ferrari pair, 1 and 3 right now, and
Yeah.
I mean, these conditions. I mean, it really caught some of these guys out. And I mean, one person that really got caught out with it is the Chiller, because he is 700 behind Minico, who's in the Haas, and he
Yeah.
is uh just a titch above
Oh,
six
wow.
tenths behind his teammate.
Sorry, I just had to mention Beatnik was slotting on that lap, and
Oh
some
yeah,
guys
I
thinking of going
saw
to Wets.
it.
Typical now coming through, yeah. We're going to watch what Typical does for Alpine, because this could be definitely a changing moment in terms of conditions or whatever it may be. Well, you're going to have to get out of track with 2 minutes 30 remaining considering these conditions, that's for sure. Red Bull today had a consecutive pole streak going of 6 races, and they could set theirself in the top 4 tied for consecutive poles. Red Bull previously had a streak in Season 8 of 7 poles in a row, 9 poles in a row in Season 6. Red Bull, 9 poles in a row as well in Season 5. And their ongoing one could get them at 7 as Minico retires, believing he's safe of P4. And we go through with Typical through here. I think that's similar to what Korsman did. So if Typical's going to get anywhere, it could be around the top 5. It is a disappointment for the Chiller to only be P5 after what happened in Q1 and Q2 with him. But I must say, all things considered, as you could just see, it's so treacherous for Typical coming through the area right there. With that being said, Titan, I think for Minico being P4, the Chiller being P5, and Cookie not being on pole, and now Typical back to the pits. And crashed! Oh! Okay.
Spectacular fashion.
Yes. With those guys being there, Cookie not being on top, I think it's safe to say it's not too disappointing for the Chiller to be in P5, but maybe the gap is the concerning part.
And they're getting a good laugh out of it.
Well, I think there's a chance, unless the Chiller and these two going on track improve, I think it maybe can be safe here once we see some laps to maybe call it, because some of these guys are learning that wets are faster than inners. However, for someone like the Chiller with how his lap was, can you improve on wets, though, is my question. Well,
I mean,
let's find out.
It could be possible. I don't know.
Well, right now, Williams would be getting their best qualifying since last season. Haas would be doing the same as well. Their best qualifying, potentially equaling it ever. Yeah, I mean, why not? Why not chance it? Go back out on track, find out what can happen. And Beatnik's going to be the only one questionable to make the line there, considering how far back he is. But yeah, I mean, why not chance it? You guys have, I mean, these guys have nothing to lose. I mean, most of these guys will likely not improve, but there's only 7 guys on track, with 2 of them being out of the session. Minico believing he's not improving, but that's still an amazing qualifying effort. Really big underdog story with him. I feel like I'm gonna call him Nico Hulkenberg soon here, because Tadpole's had 3 consecutive P4s, 3 P4s before having a podium and still hasn't gotten one. Minico got a P4 last week, his 2nd in RPL, and I think those yellow flags were for the Ferrari backing off there. We'll get a lap here with the Chiller. We'll go on board with him. He's the only one taking a gamble here on wets, and not in the same tire from the first laps that we did. But it's just such tricky conditions. I mean, look through here in the chicane. The Chiller's having to back off a decent bit.
Yeah, he had to back off just a little bit because he had a little bit of snap in the middle of the fast chicane. But we'll see what he could do, as he's the only one on the wets. I mean, I don't know, really. I mean, could he improve? I don't know. Just not really sure, honestly.
Go all out. Try something different. We have cars coming across the line now. Beatnik's the only one, again, like I said, at question. Everyone else who's crossing the line will make it. Now, here we go. Turn 3 for the Chiller. We're coming to the end of the sector. You can see a little bit of sliding right there, but I think he's going to be at least near his sector time from before. I don't know if he'll beat it, though. This is going to be the question.
Beatnik
We'll
made it.
find out now. The Chiller. All right, Beatnik has made it. The Chiller is down only by a 10th, so you know what? If he made some big mistakes, he can maybe only get past Minico, but the checkered flag is waving. As Minico said, this is false hope, so we'll find out. Also coming through the sector now is Cam.
You mentioned the Chiller being about a 10th down. Jack is almost 3/10ths down on the Inters.
Well, Cam is only just less than a 10th down himself. Well, we'll keep on board with all these drivers here coming through a little bit. The Chiller now going to come through the second sector. The Chiller has taken a few podiums here in Baku, but in terms of his history, he's never taken pole position, and he's 63 thousandths down. He's not on run for pole position, but if he can just maximize his session, he'll at least be a starting on the second row. And with their
Jack's
rivalry
improving.
with Ferrari, that'd be a good thing. Who's improving?
Jack, 4/10ths.
Wow. Okay, so it's not over just yet. The Chiller coming across the line. What can he do? The Chiller will be only P5 at best. Next is Jack Miles. He took podium in this race last season. For now, it is going to be provisional pole. Cam is next, the teammate with Korsman who can improve. Cam, next for Ferrari. Can he keep it a Ferrari 1-2? Yes, he improves. Can Cookie keep Red Bull's consecutive pole streak alive? 4 in a row today for him is gonna happen. Red Bull, 7 poles in a row. Cookie does it. And that's gonna be it. Cookie, 4 consecutive times this season on pole position. He is undefeated here in the RPL Season 10 season in qualifying.
Wow.
He is now tied in pole positions with multiple drivers. Gecko, Z-Tex, Corey Marshall, and Flynn, meaning he's now tied for the top 10. Welcome back to pole once again, Cookie, in 2024. He did it at the start of 2023, I believe, in Bahrain when he took that pole position in that race, Season 7. Now here's your qualifying order. Cam and Jack, round of the top 3 for Ferrari. Minico is P4 for Haas, equaling their best efforts in qualifying ever. Also, to correct myself, it was Cookie Season 8, though. De Chiller, P5. Then you got Korsman. Beatnik, a nice showing for Williams. Zakaria not far behind, so that's hope for them. And Typical, P9. He could not make the top 8, but he was in the session of qualifying where he ended up last of everybody who made a lap. And now onto the race, where you'll lose 18 seconds in the pit lane and gain back 15% as well of battery. We'll see if it's a dry race or not. It is dry in the race. Yes. Chat, give us your predictions. It is time for a dry Baku race, meaning we need to give you the strategy. It's unlikely that you can do soft to medium because of the strategy around here and the tire wear. We'll call it a Hail Mary if that's the case, a very big one at that. So expect a soft hard or a medium hard or revert strategy. And yeah, we'll find out. Now time for the race.
Oh, looks like as people are trying to figure out which tires are going to be going on. Currently, right now, as people are figuring out which strats are better, which one's the one to go with. Looks like a good majority on my end are going to be starting on the medium tires. There is going to be looks like I do see a couple that will be going on to the hard compound. But we'll have to wait and see what's going on as people switch up. Oh, here we go.
Time to kick off 2024 racing here in RPL Formula 1. It is go time. Here we go. Lights out. Away we go. Cookie off the line quite well. He can cover off the Ferrari as the two Ferraris will go wheel to wheel. Minico keeping P4, but now DeChiller's under pressure. We watch toward the back of the grid where they all are double file, 5 rows deep. And Blonde, who joined in the session, he is at the back of the grid. And now we have a spinner. It's a Williams around at the back of the grid. And we can see cars piling in. Kipu got through. Gecko was involved. Zakaria was the Williams around right there. And now you see Barney losing places. I think TB was in on that as well. But now for the lead, it's a second gap. Cookie's pulling away already.
Yeah, I had difficulty trying to tell what happened to Zakaria. I don't know if he got tagged by someone or he lost on his own. He's off into the wall again in turn number 3. But yeah, some cars losing position. Oh, we got trouble. TB's gone spinning.
And TB, another victim on the opening lap. Let's go to the castle section where we see everyone come through. Can anyone make it through cleanly? We saw lap 1 be treacherous already. Hopefully everyone has got the braking point correctly. And it looks like so far that's been the case. Barney passing Reese Dainty before the castle section. That's some big balls to be doing that. And now the lead, less than a second here as we're about to end lap 1.
Well,
Kipu getting Reese Dainty.
Back in, yeah, because his internet's still conked out.
Well, that's more trouble toward his name. Nope, I think he is back in. He's just ghosted for whatever reason. Both Aston Martins going wheel to wheel as we enter the final sector. You don't usually see that, but I think Wavy Knife on that end plate might have some damage. Yes, it is a little bit of damage for Wavy. And now Scyther, who crashed out in qualifying, trying to get back up the grid. He's up to P9 already, and now trying to do the recovery drive. 2 by 2 we go here on the run toward turn 1. The Alpine has some straight line speed of Be Good. Here he comes. L74G in the mix as well. Season 3 Baku winner. Now, 4 cars under a blanket toward turn 1. Racing in the background as well, you can see. But Scyther almost getting caught out there. Going to be side by side with Luke, going to protect the inside line. Scyther has to have Luke go around the outside line, and more cars pit at the end of the lap, and they all figured out single file behind that. But now DeChiller chases after P4 for Minico around the outside. He's trying to take this place while not getting overtaken by Korsman, and they now are single file into sector 2 we go.
Yeah, what's also interesting is with Scyther doing the defending and everything, he is on the soft compound tires to kick off this race. He's the only one that's going with it. And some of the others, they have like we have a few people on the mixture of the hards, but most of them are on the mediums. But yeah, Scyther being the oddball, going onto the softs as Luke trying to goad Scyther into making a mistake by being right on his back end. But Scyther not fazed by it. I mean, the two of them together, Scyther and Luke, combined to have 5 championships together.
Wavy just clunked the wall a little bit. I don't know if that's going to pick up any more damage, but didn't see any end plates go flying off. We watched everyone go through the castle section there because of that exact reason. Going to catch some drivers out, especially if you're in this train like P4 has, where you're following another driver. It's hard to see the braking point. If you have line on or even just line off in general, hard to know when to brake. Now, it's hard to know with Minico how much he's going to defend here because he's got DeChiller, a hungry DeChiller behind, and Korsman also in the slipstream of DeChiller trying to get through. He's not clear of Minico just yet. He may be now. Now they race toward turn 1 where Korsman is finally clear. Scyther, the teammate behind, also knocking up some places as well on the grid. Be Good is there to challenge down the inside. The Academy teammate can't get the move done. So, Scyther gaining more places on this grid after what happened in qualifying. We have 1 place for DeChiller and Korsman, 2 for Typical, 5 for Scyther, 4 for Luke, and 7 for Blonde, as Wavy pits now with that front wing damage we saw, and the 2 Ferraris to a swapperoo.
Yeah, Jack now being turned loose to hunt down Cookie, as DRS is now enabled. Beatnik, by the way, just hanging on decently in that Williams right now, sitting in the 8th position. He is in the DRS of Typical, but he does have Scyther breathing down his neck, and also Be Good. Actually, in fact, Typical has now gotten himself a little mini train with Beatnik to Luke behind there. And also, good credit to Minico hanging on so far in the early stages of this race. Qualified P4, he's sitting in P6. It is the early stage, but Minico is not doing too bad, hanging out in the top 10.
I've just noticed, I believe Redfire Tiger has some end plate damage, maybe from the lap 1 collision. Yes, it is some wing damage for him that he's going to have to deal with throughout this race. You can see the cars at the back of the grid, Gecko, Barney, TB, and Wavy, all who pitted right there. trying to figure out what they can do to get back up on the grid. But Cookie has pulled out to a 2.7-second lead. Still not too comfortable in this race because anything can happen, but no retirements just yet. Here's Korsman looking to make the move here into Chiller. He kind of did a little bit of a dummy right there. Now going to the right side, you could see he gets the move done. Braces past with DRS, and now we got a 5-car train forming at the end of the points here. Does Beatnik make a move on Typical before turn 1? He thinks of it, but he can't make the move. Further behind, you got Blonde also in the thick of things with Red Fire Tiger. Not close enough for a move. The Chiller now is going to hunt past Korsman on the run toward turn 3. Here he goes. Elects to go to the outside line this time. Gets the move done as you saw Ferrari in front of that locking up, and we go back to P7 where battling once again continues.
Looks like Scyther's going down the inside to take on against Beatnik, and he does get ahead. Scyther up in the 8th place. Beatnik now down into 9th. Now he's got to deal with the other Alpine of Be Good right behind him, and then Luke the Mercedes as well. Now Beatnik, the team principal of the Mercedes Academy, I'm gonna be slightly honest. I believe he's gonna have to let Luke by if Be Good gets past him, so Luke can get himself into the points, and Mercedes, the big main team, can get themselves into the points because both Mercedes right now currently are sitting at no points, and good lord, I can't remember the last time both Mercedes did not get a point in a tier 1 event.
I could tell you right now, I have it written down. 39 races ago, round 9, season 8. And, you know, I'll tell you this right now. That's the longest streak of anybody in RPL. Luke sitting in behind Be Good once again, just waiting on the right time to pounce here. You can't do it in this chicane area, but he knows he's going to have to do so slightly after. Still DRS here on the run toward turn 1 with everybody. By the way, you spoke about letting people past. Academy teammates Typical and Scyther did that a little bit ago. Scyther the only runner on softs. So now we chase after turn 1. 3 cars about to go 3 abreast. Here we go. Collision.
Ooh.
Luke and Be Good, the ones who've been collected in that incident. And now the virtual safety car comes out due to their collision. My word.
I just got the end of it on my end. What happened?
So I guess, I don't remember who was in front of who now, but whoever was in front went to defend, and whoever was the car on the inside was right at the inside wall, and it was similar to, I guess you could say, Saudi Arabia incident with Korsman and Cam, in a way. The hole just closed up, and both are missing front wings now.
If I
Pits.
remember right, just before they went to 3 abreast, Beatnik was ahead, and then it was Be Good and Luke behind.
Correct. Be Good and Luke were, I mean, they had tons of space to the right side with, you know, Beatnik right there, but 3 into 1 sometimes doesn't go, but at the same time, 3 into 1 could have gone right there, or at least maybe 2 into 1 if there was some space right there, but you know, there was no space in the inside line. You have to split yourselves out, and those guys in the inside line, Be Good and Luke, they didn't do that. They didn't split themselves out like they maybe should have. That's what caused the collision there. Could put blame on one another. I'd like to see the clip though first.
Yeah. So most likely from what you were saying is that Luke and Be Good, they went for the exact same piece of real estate. They went for the same thing, thinking in their head, thinking I'm gonna go in this place. They went for it at the same time, and then they just wound up bumping and smacking into each other.
Pretty much, and now it's been upgraded to a full safety car.
Very interesting.
So there you have it.
Well, there
with
is
that
one
said
thing
now-
though. There is one thing with it being upgraded to a full safety car. This is gonna help the guys of Zakaria down to Barney, because this will bring them back up to the rest of the field. And looks like the leader's going in.
Yes, all of them. All of them look like they're going in. Do they know something we don't? I don't know. Scyther coming in as well on the soft tires.
Korsman jumped the Chiller in the pits.
Well, that's interesting, because the Chiller maybe needed that after a double stack right there. Both McLaren's double stacking, both Ferrari's double stacking, so many double stacking. But this works in the hands with Scyther now with his strategy. You know, he was on the soft tires, he goes to mediums now. Let's see what happens, Titan. And the thing you spoke about with Beatnik, which was funny, is that maybe, oh yeah, if he can let Luke go, well, that's out the window now.
Well, I just also noticed something else. Cookie is gonna have to do another stop later on, because he started on the sauce and he pitted no, sorry. He started on the mediums, and he's gone to a new set of mediums. So he's gonna have to do a second stop onto a different compound of tire.
I'm watching the clip now, and it does look very, very similar to Cam and Korsman and Saudi. I'm watching it in slow-mo now. Be Good is still leaving him a little bit of a lane, but Luke is just right at the wall, and I think that wall kind of goes slightly right, and because of that, Luke turned a little bit right too much, but they had a lot more space to beat Nick. I mean, I get Be Good defending and having him pinch that inside line, but at the same time, I don't know if it's a way to put 50-50 or who to blame more. I'm not going to fully give my opinion because I'm going to wait for the stewards to do so, but I'm just going to say this right now. For both drivers, why if you're Be Good, why would you not have some space to the right side? You have to go more to the right as you enter the corner and kind of open it up a little bit. Why did he not do that? That's what I wonder. Todd Polson in the clip if you want to watch it in driver's chat, but you're exactly right about that with Cookie. It plays into Scyther's hands going to medium, so maybe there's a two-stop on our hands in this race considering how long those tires go. These mediums can't make the rest of the way unless you're really good at tire saving. However, the hards, you can maybe risk it for a biscuit and end up making the rest of the race. Slight chance of a puncture, though. Never know.
Yeah, you never know.
Luke's already taking blame.
You never know. It's quite interesting. You never know what will happen. I mean, I mean, if you're good with your tire management, going 20-ish laps on the hard compound is doable.
Yeah, it is.
Then again, it's
Just
been
not
like
anymore.
2-3 months since I raced Baku in an F1 car. It is doable, but you're running the risk of a possible puncture. I'm just saying it is from a different league. I did a race a couple months ago there. There was 2 guys that chanced it. They went like 20. They tried to go like 22 laps on the hards, and they couldn't do it. They punctured with 2 to go. They punctured with 2 to go, which was unfortunate.
Well, the thing here,
I mean, could it be done? I mean, if you're good with your time management, it's doable.
The good thing here, Titan, though, for these guys, sorry to cut in, I was just going to say, the good thing here for these guys, though, is that they have a better chance of doing just that just because the safety car is out and they have a little bit of laps they have under these conditions on their tires. So we'll find out. Some guys talking about the lap 1 incident.
His POV of what happened in turn 1.
Yep, you're exactly right. I was just about to say that, too. It was turn 2, I believe, where he got spun around. Just, Baku lap 1 always seems so tricky. It's inevitable that trouble will happen. And Be Good made contact with, Typical made contact with the right front of Zakari, left front of Zakarias from the right rear, and I think it may have been Be Good who tapped him around. So Be Good maybe 2 collisions to the steward office, 1 more so at his blame that he will have to take. But make sure if you want to tune into RPL, you hit the follow button. You go to us on YouTube, it's the same name, and all our socials. We are in Miami next week for F1 action, Singapore for Tier 2, and tomorrow for Portugal in Formula Endurance. So safety car should be coming in this time, I'd expect. TB's the only one to catch back up to the pack, and it is coming in. So Cookie will lead the way. He's on different tires, but he's known to be, I guess you could say, the tire whisperer. And the next medium runner goes all the way back to 7th of Scyther. So here we go for a restart, Titan. How about you kick things off underway here as Cookie stays in first gear trying to burn some fuel?
Yeah, so Cookie in control of the field. Jack sitting in second. See how he reacts to Cookie's takeaway. CT car comes in nice and easy as everyone's getting themselves ready to go. Korsman, 3rd place. Cam there, and Cookie is gone. We're going to be heading off and back underway in Baku. Green flag's back out. We're back underway in Baku as Cookie heading off into turn number 1. Jack right behind. Korsman very close behind on Jack as they head to turn number 2. But Cookie tried to get a tiny bit of a jump on Jack and Korsman, but both of them wound up responding well. And Typical just got himself into trouble. 5 seconds for ignoring yellow flag. I wonder for what reason.
Reese Dainty was the reason, him not being in the session or just being a ghost car and overtaking someone before the start finish line. We have some cars jockeying for position in the background. Redfire, Tiger, Kipu, and others following behind. TB, the one in the top car who was put farther back and having to claw his way back to the field. He had to do the same in Saudi Arabia, where he did not join the session in time. So TB is known for some recovery drives, but now would be the time to get through the field with just, you know, halfway approaching in a couple laps time.
Yeah. When you just before you were mentioning on for me to take it away on the restart, I was just reviewing, looking at Zacaria's POV on the lap 1 incident. I mean, it looks like it could have been Be Good that contacted him, or it could have been Redfire. But I'd say before any other passing off a judgment, I'll probably have to get in touch with Be Good after the race, see if he could provide his POV on what happened in that section.
Yeah, I don't want to put blame on him, but it did look like he was the closest one to Zakaria.
Yep.
Could be wrong, though. Speaking of another Alpine car, here's Typical getting past Beatnik on the straight. The Chiller also breezing past Minico. Scyther wants in on the action. Here he goes at turn 1. All cars on the main straight jockeying for position. Luke's going to come in for damage. So now, Minico overtaken by 2 before turn 1. Be Good's in a little battle with Blonde. Beatnik's trying to come back at this as well. And further back, everyone just within 0.2 of one another heading to the next braking zone, but have to stay in behind to not avoid, or to avoid collision and avoid hitting one another.
Yeah, I feel pretty bad for Luke having damage again. Probably was during that first lap of the restart. Him all the way back on the back of the field. You don't see that from basically the all-time winningest driver in RPL to being this far back. And once again, Mercedes now, both cars not in the points. And as you said, 39 races ago was the last time both Mercedes did not score points. So, I mean, it's only lap 9 of 26, so we'll have to wait and see on what happens. But all 20 cars are still involved, I mean, despite Reese being an AI.
Well, if I'm Mercedes, I'm thinking of that as a nightmare scenario. I need to get some places here, and I need some people to crash, or whatever it may be. Be Good in the braking zone, getting really close to Blonde's gearbox. This is the battle for points right now with Redfire Tiger in the mix. And behind that is who we were talking about, the fake TB. Hoping this is not a fake sign of things to come, and hopefully it's a real sign of things to come for a recovery like he had in Saudi. Here we go. DRS about to be enabled next lap. But now before the next lap's on our hands, we have Korsman taking second place. So he now goes up the place on the Ferraris. And in the background, the Alpine moving around. It's Be Good with Blonde for the action. Blonde almost hitting the inside wall, trying to give space. Woo! Be Good goes through. Kipu also is Zakaria. Zakaria just nudges the wall. And now we race on the run toward the next corners, and that's yellow flags for Wavy and TTM Barney. Aston Martin have seen another collision with one another in Tier 1.
Oh my lord. And Barney got himself a 5-second penalty for causing the collision with Wavy, so I guess we can safely say who was to blame. And before this happened, when you were mentioning with Luke saying like, well, we need like people to crash so I can get up for Luke to get back up and gain some more ground. I was just about to say, don't say that, because now you're going to give Wavy ideas on how to find a unique way to crash.
Cam struggling through the S section of the castle, and you could see it's backed him up from his teammate. He's now further behind Jack and Korsman, and here's to Chiller and Scyther, who want to get past as soon as they can. The DRS battle goes all the way back to 11th now, and someone just touched the wall just slightly, and the Alpine did the same thing as well.
Yeah, I just had to send an invite to Gecko because Gecko just disconnected.
Alfa Romeo disaster compared to yesterday. All right, on the run to turn 1, who's going to find some places up in the grid? Jack Miles chases after Korsman, but behind that, here's Scyther trying to get more places once again. Jack Miles moving to turn 1, and I have been glitched.
Yep, I just noticed that.
Well,
They're knocked out, and Minako's disconnected too.
hey, one good thing compared to yesterday, at least the stream's off. I don't want to jinx myself now.
Yeah, don't do that.
Give me an invite in just a moment. I'll tell you when, because it's like, yay, let's do some podium celebrations even though the race ain't over.
Oh. Oh, that's what happened.
Huh. Well, it happened to Miniko. It happened to Reese. Maybe. Unless he's just watching the stream.
Gecko is DNF'd. Oh, wait a minute. I think he. Oh yeah.
Because he joined back the session.
Well, Gecko rejoined, but then it booted him out again, and his car DNF'd him.
Oh boy.
Well, now,
I'm trying to check the forecasts here while it waits to get me back to the main menu. Then I'll accept your invite. But I'm just trying to check because why is this thing still on September? It's January 6th, my friend. Just that's how long it's been since I've been on my weather app. But yeah, I'll join now. I was just gonna say because I do have to leave after the stream is over. So yeah, I'm gonna join back now. Which is unfortunate because.
No, one thing that you definitely did miss. Both McLarens, Korsman overtook Jack for second, and Scyther overtook Cam for fourth. And the Chiller is now going to try to get action on Cam to get himself in a fifth. DRS enabled, but the Chiller just can't get there. Cam too quick at turn 3, and Cam maintains the fifth place spot. Oh, Phoenix gone off. Phoenix gone off in turn 3. And he's plunged all the way down to 12th.
Oh no. He was running inside the points, I believe, right before this.
Yeah, he was.
9th,
He was
area.
in 9th. And despite Miniko getting booted out for lagging out, he came back pretty quick, and he's still sitting in 9th. So he's still in the points. I mean, not as high as he wanted to be because he was 7th beforehand, but, I mean, he's still in the points.
Speaking to Reese's point, there's only 2 other games I've had lag issues on, and you want to know what those 2 games are? Fortnite and Rocket League. I guess they're trying to ask me for some more destruction for this race. With that being said, because it is Baku after all. But yeah. Anyway, back to the action. Here we go. Gecko out because of obviously you mentioned him joining back the session. I don't mean to insult the drivers by saying this, but I kind of feel good I'm not racing and I'm the spectator because at least I don't have my car retired or not able to, participate anymore, which it really sucks for the drivers though. Cam trying to weave and maybe moving twice to try to get DeChiller out of the DRS, but DeChiller pits. So now Miniko trying to hold off cars behind with Blonde, the one who's being egregious and the one who's being hungry with TB on the outside line. Don't touch there. They come close to the wall, but they do keep it clean and show you guys that you can go too wide at turn 1. Blonde rear locks at turn 2, even though they still remain wheel to wheel. And now that becomes TB's spot.
Cam.
Yes, you're right. Typical is the next one. Alpine doing both drivers a favor here. Typical's through.
I think Be Good tried to follow Typical, but just couldn't fully execute it. And Cam managed to keep one Alpine back, but Typical now up in the 5th place. Now, if you said it right, that Typical got that 5 second because of Reese's AI, maybe he might get that penalty removed. I don't know, but I mean, he's on the mediums right now, and the medium people are gonna have to do another stop. I mean, Typical's gonna wind up serving that 5 second anyways.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and this race could still play out for guys who are doing a 2-stop. Does Cookie do the 1-stop on mediums? I doubt it.
It's not. I don't think it's likely
But it would be unprecedented and out of the ordinary and very spectacular. Oh, a little slide from Cam. Be Good now.
Lag spike too.
Wants to take action. And now he's right there. Here we go. Side by side to the chicane. This could get dangerous. Side by side still. And Be Good backed out, but Cam is out because of it, and he goes flying. Cam has collected a couple of them with damage as end plates go flying. The virtual safety car, and now the safety car is out. Cam trying to get room, clip the inside wall, then clip the outside wall. He had a massive crash. Typical into the pits. Scyther may have got damage. That was big.
Well, safety car is it's a full safety car actually, not a VSC. It's a full safety car, but what a violent hit by Cam. And I was on board with Be Good. I was on board with Be Good when it happened. Cam lagged just enough, and it just sent him off, and then he just clocked that outer wall, and kaboom! That is one Ferrari gone. But my God, that was a horrifying hit.
I mean, he clipped the right barrier just a little bit, similar to how Wavy did at turn 4 in Saudi Arabia, if you've all seen that clip. But when he clipped the left side of the wall, it was very weird because he didn't clip it a lot, but that's exactly what having those extra styrofoam on that left side does to you. You have to be careful of it. It's not like old Baku, where you can just kind of tap the wall a little bit and get away with it. No, those barriers will send you out of the race, and one Ferrari out of tonight's race so far.
Oh my God, no way. So Wavy just said he's got, apparently, I don't know if Wavy's got damage, but Wavy just said that Cam's front wing, where he went off, where he crashed, his front wing went over the catch fence into the other side of the track, and apparently Wavy ran over the front wing.
Well, look where Wavy's going through right now, and look where Cam crashed. That's exactly the area, and those cars were around it. Look at exactly how that is. You can see it on the stream now. That's how it flew in the air. Driver's pitting. Oh, Korsman almost hit the back of Jack. He may have to get some wing damage repaired. If he did hit Jack, hopefully he changed it in time if that was the case. No front wing being changed. Medium tires for everyone but Cookie. And those soft tires are a risk to go to the end, but you're near puncture territory. We know Cookie can get those to the end, though, because he's very good at tire saving. And now Scyther, who pitted a lap earlier, stays out.
Yeah, so Scyther is now going to be in the 4th place spot, right behind his teammate, of Korsman. Jack on the mediums, Cookie on the sauce. I mean, you're looking at, when the safety car goes in, you're looking at 9 full-fledged racing laps on the sauce. Cookie can go those, I think he could go those 9 laps on those sauce, but the tire wear is going to be pretty nasty by the time the end of the race hits.
Yeah, which is why you see most of the drivers going to mediums, because they know they're going to be faster at the end. It's just a matter of whether Cookie can pull that same gap he was pulling previously. I think this is maybe the 3rd time the race has been halted in some way, whether it's VSC or full safety car. Maybe 4th time if you include the fact of Minico and myself lagging out. Yeah, that was a nasty crash. And Typical had to serve that 5-second pen, by the way. Cookie may be questioning his decision now.
Yeah, I think that's probably I think that's going to go into part of the season highlights for probably the season 10's hardest hits in RPL. That's for sure. Cam's hit just boom, bam. Good God.
Well, Beatnik says you're going to win no matter what you say. However, let me give you some facts here. If Cookie does not pull away, you got to keep this in mind. Yesterday, during the Tier 2 race, there were 2 runners on softs at the end. It was, I believe, Zatsi and Minions. They were okay at the end, and that was in Japan, just remember, so I'll give you Baku in a moment, but they were okay at the end. So, you know, Japan's hard to overtake, so they held on to position, but they did lose a little lap time. However, Baku's a lot more tougher on tire wear, and keep this in mind as the ideal Scyther used the runoff there, and I think may have to give the place back. He ended up... Oh, no. Don't collide here, guys. Oh, God. Okay. We're going to mess things up here. Just to give clarification, because Scyther had to let him go because he made a mistake and was in the runoff, not paying attention. The ideal lap time where these soft tires are the best are 6 laps. So with us being under the safety car, I guess give it 5.5 laps maybe, you know, to where things are at its best. So the second half of this last restart is where Jack and Korsman could come alive. But Titan, I think the big thing here is, you know, I know second and third have been swapping spots quite a bit, thinking, all right, well, you know, maybe we can play some DRS mind games. And this is ridiculous with Scyther and Be Good. I get that they're trying to trade places because one feels they were wrongfully overtaken, the other feeling that they deserve to be ahead just because of what happened there at turn 1. But figure it out, guys, please. However, with Cookie and those guys behind him, Cookie has to pull a gap. As for the guys behind him, Jack and Korsman and maybe Be Good and Scyther, oh dear. They simply have to find a way to sit here and say, look, if we're going to swap places, we need to do it the best way possible to where we got DRS and we're close enough. And the fastest guys may be out in front. Because if that isn't happening and they're battling it out and duking it out a little too much, Titan, well, we could see them not have any chance at Cookie, even with a mistake from him on those soft tires. 2 others have gone to softs, Luke and Barney. All right. We'll find out if the safety car comes in and calls a late one. If it is, I'll give it away to you.
I'm really hating this headset because I literally had to navigate the little port just a tiny bit right just to make sure I could get my audio out there. Anyways,
without
so
any static noise.
whole issue with Scyther and Be Good is all fixed now. They're now back in their places where they're supposed to be. Looks like a couple of cars have decided to go back in. Oh yeah, Minico's gone back in. Minico on typical. Huh.
Minico and typical. You know, the tail end of the field now, red fire too.
I mean, I don't give. I'm a little bit off on why he did that.
Yeah. It just, you know, Florian was penalized for it in Brazil tier 2, so why? Why would you do that? You know? If you're gonna let each other pass, wait till the end of the safety car restart. You know? Especially being academy teammates from that. You're just messing up the whole field. Everyone behind now to slam on their brakes. But we spoke a whole lot about the Chiller. He's P9 right in between 2 Williams. He practiced a whole lot compared to Cookie this weekend. Is he a disappointment in this race or not right now? I don't know, but I expected him to be higher up, that's for sure. Double stack could have affected him with Cookie being in front, but just unfortunate for Darius. Yeah, I don't know. It's ridiculous. I'm just going to put it that way with Be Good and Scyther. I don't know. Figure it out. I get it's a terrible game, but you got to cope with it too at the same time. You can't affect the whole field by doing that. Florian maybe feels the Red Bull Tier 1 seat could be coming for him. Well, if I'm the Chiller right here and I see, as the safety car comes in, if I see the guys in front of me battling it out, a podium should be on the cards here bearing any post-race penalties with Scyther and Be Good. If not, you better be P4. Because if you're not, then I really think there's a lot of questions that needed to be asked at that point. Could this potentially be the final time we are under a safety car restart? Cookie again maxing it out in first gear, burning fuel. Maybe overfueled. Take it away, Titan, for the restart. Cookie leads this pack of cars.
So just like before, as Cookie is bolted off, Jack right behind, Korsman there. As everything gets back underway, we're back away for the basically 8 laps of racing action. Jack in trying to chase down Cookie. And we'll get our way through as they head into turn number 2. Korsman in 3rd place, hanging right behind. Cookie's starting to pull away from Jack, almost 8/10 up, heading into turn number 3. And yeah, Cookie off and away. Korsman 3rd, Jack 2nd. The Chiller and Beatnik battling each other for the 8th place spot. And the Chiller does get by and gets in there.
Well, the Chiller needs to gain places immediately. He's done that. Minico into collision. Maybe TTM Barney was the cause of that, because he's also been collected in it too. So, now we head to Castle. What's going to happen here on this restart? Cookie leads the way, as we said, but just got to take it so careful through here. Not too careful. You don't want to crash being too careful, but I think there was one place being traded here somewhere throughout the end of the points, or just first places outside the points, but yeah, back to single file.
Yeah, so
Well, I don't know if you just cut out there or not, but as that's being said, we've moved the back of the grid, Wavy and Reese. Don't know if Reese got back in the session or not. I don't think so. He's not back in the session. Here we go. 2nd place. We've got a race on our hands for it. Korsman pinching Jack. That got tight right there. Almost a collision on the main street once again. But Korsman back out in front. They're 4 wide in the background. They're 4 wide. 4 abreast, about to get to turn 1. The Red Bull goes deep. Badaris, Blonde in the action. TB on the inside line, trying to pick off 3 of them. How about some 2017 Magnussen Ricardo type of style action? TB picking them all off on the restart. Needing that desperately. The Chiller, who needs to get back up desperately. Down the inside, they're banging wheels on the straight. They continue to bang. The Chiller with the inside line will get the place.
Oh, what tight wheel the wheel racing that is. The Chiller not willing to surrender that 5th place quietly. Bumping and banging TB and the Chiller were. And Chiller takes that back. But what a move by TB, getting advantage of a few cars and doing phenomenally well. I will not lie. I mean, he was out of the points several laps ago. Now back in the points in 6th, and same applies to his teammate Luke. Luke is up into 8th right now, and he's got Blonde ahead of him.
Were we talking about Mercedes not scoring points? They said, yeah, you commentators know nothing. Here goes typical on the outside or inside now of Zakaria, backed out there. Korsman's pulled a gap though, Titan. This is good for Alpine Academy, your cars, though. And if you want anyone to chase after Cookie once those soft tires start wearing off, maybe that's your guy. He's the closest here in pace.
Well, anything is highly likely, but I mean, as Cookie starts off, DRS enabled, kicking off for lap number 20. Who's that that just went off?
Barney. Barney was the one who went off. Turn 1. Here we go. Luke. Blonde thinking about it. More yellow flags. It's Wavy Knife now. Oh, we got ducking out. Here's Luke. Also in on the action, wanting to make some moves. More wheel banging here. Close quarter racing between him and Blonde. And Wavy Knife is out of this race. Is that going to bring out a safety car? Yes, it does. Luke got by Blonde just as that happened. And now the race has been halted once again. Those soft tire guys of Luke making everything they can.
Why am I not surprised to see Wavy? Why am I not surprised to see Wavy crashing out like that? I mean,
more struggles to his race.
I mean, I thought Wavy could possibly go an entire race without crashing out, but I guess not.
Well, he's gonna hate you for saying that one, but yeah, it's unfortunate for him. He did do a good job yesterday in Tier 2, returning to Aston. I know Notal gave me some, backlash about Wavy. Why is he in the Aston? Well, you know what? Why was Wavy in the Mercedes? If you want to call Beatnik silly for some decisions, why was he in the Mercedes? Why was Valk in the Aston? Clearly, both them swapping yesterday in Tier 2 worked out to perfection. And with Wavy, he's out of this race. And of course, maybe he's not working out with no ABS in Tier 1, or whatever the case may be for him at tricky tracks. But it worked out yesterday. So, some people are just better in certain cars than others. And I wonder if Cookie will pit here or if any of the other runners will pit. I don't know why he's using battery under the safety car. Burn it all while you can, right? Did he get all 4 tires done on that white line? That may be under investigation from Cookie. We saw Reese penalized for this, but Jack Miles, with just a couple laps remaining, stays out. Throwing some gambles here. And a Chiller. Oh, he was maybe indecisive too. We could see a penalty come in both Red Bulls' ways. And TB caught him napping. Oh!
Oh, TB just like Korsman earlier. And I think if my memory's right, Korsman jumped a Chiller into the pits under the first safety car, and now TB does the same thing.
TB, that is miraculous because you know what? Some of those guys had a double stack while he didn't, and most of this field going to soft tires. The ones who stayed out include Luke, Red Fire, and Jack. Haas trying to get their first ever Tier 1 podium.
The Chiller and them are kind of screwed because look who's ahead of the Chiller.
Reese Dainty.
Yep, Reese's AI. So that's gonna. Those guys are kind of screwed.
Maybe TB broke a rule right there? I don't know. It happened with Korsman too. I don't know if Owen's referring to that, but that's concerning if there was a rule broken right there for some of those guys. But hey, late race restart on our hands.
I don't know. Is there? I don't know if there is a rule against overtaking someone in the pit entry. I don't know if there. I don't think there is. Is there?
I don't know why Owen's saying that then if there isn't.
I don't think there is. I can't remember honestly.
Yeah, I'm really concerned now about Cookie and DeChiller because they used the white line right there. You have to, I saw it talked about with Molly for Tier 2 a couple of seasons ago in Tier 2. You have to use all 4 tires in that white line. Reese got nabbed for it in Vegas last season, lost his win. Was it a little harsh? Maybe, but that was something that was controversial where drivers said, and stewards alike said, we need to clear this rule up. And if it's been cleared up by then, maybe there's a penalty coming some way. But 2 good friends are 1-2 right now and trying to fend off Cookie on this restart once we get back underway. Soft tires can make it from here. And Luke looking a little bit better to make it here at the end. Might be on some worn out tires, but he should not have a puncture coming his way on those softs.
Well, there is one rule I do see. It was recent. It was dated on November 25th, 2023.
Around Vegas, surely.
You can't overtake a car on the pit lane exit unless the car slowed with an obvious problem. But I don't see anything in the entry. Let me see if I can find out more. It's going to take me a couple of seconds.
By the way, while you look for that, 3 retirements from this race. 1 is from the Mercedes Academy, 2 from Ferrari Academy. Unfortunate for those guys. We're looking at, with some teams, some best finishes of the season. Ferrari's at least had 1 car in the top 4 in the last 7 races. Red Bull's trying to continue a 30-point streak. There you go. McLaren 17.
This did actually happen. It happened in 2016, done by Sebastian Vettel. It did happen by Sebastian Vettel in China, and it says inside the pit lane itself. So like in the pits from like the pit, like the lines from like the pit entry line to the exit, you can't overtake anyone in that part. But the pit entry from like when you go off into the pits to before the line, you can. It's not subject to those rules. So apparently overtaking before the pit entry line in the pit lane is legal, but exit you can't.
All right. Time to shake and bake. Just a couple laps remaining here for these drivers. Jack Miles was on podium last season in this race for Alfa Romeo. This season he's in Ferrari, and he's in a top car. They all stack up. Everyone has to be very careful here as we're about to get the restart underway for what's looking like one last time. Many safety cars this race, much chaos, some top drivers and mistakes. Could Red Fire take advantage? Jack Miles is the one in control of things, though, as we're about to get things back underway. He won 2 races to end last season for Ferrari, and all of his wins have come at night. Front wing's being broken off. Someone has just lost an end plate, and that might be Red Fire Tiger. Red Fire Tiger may have got damage, and Jack Miles still isn't going. Red Fire with no front wing.
That ain't
Back underway
good.
we go. Cookie looking to pick off L74G already. He may have got rear wing damage, Cookie, so if he did, he's got to be careful. And here goes the overtakes. Here we go. They're all splitting one another. Cars spinning off in the back. That's Hippo. Off into the wall is Red Fire, and they take evasive action of him. Scyther through, the Chiller, Korsman, and now here comes TB.
Yeah, so everyone making it through in that regard, but Cookie, in order to get himself back in the lead, to go full for 4. Woo.
Red Fire clunked the wall a little bit. Cookie losing out to L74G now.
Ooh.
Is he going to protect for Jack, even though he's not a part of the Ferrari Academy? Good friends there. Minico, Red Fire. Red Fire now outside the points with that damage. He's almost into a wall, and now he's into a wall again. Somehow out of this race, and they all scatter to get by. Cookie and L74G also trade spots. Korsman also getting the places up on him, and Korsman almost into the wall. He just missed that because there was cars going everywhere because of Red Fire. But
The
Cookie
corner
now
just
through on
before
Luke.
the castle. Cookie just sending a bonsai move on Luke. It was very ballsy, very risky, but Cookie took complete advantage. It worked out for him, and Luke caught out by it. Korsman took advantage as well, and he's up into the podium place as well. That was incredible.
And now Korsman is in the fight to get by Cookie and Jack. Scyther in on the action as well. Could be picking off some places here. Weaving and bobbing from Cookie, and now here he goes. Cookie to the race lead. Cookie with just a couple laps remaining, looking to win 4 in a row. Only something a couple drivers have done, and it's only been done a couple of times, but now he's in hot pursuit of it. L74G with Scyther now on the run to turn 1. Wheel to wheel, they touch a little bit. Now the Chiller is there to pick off the pieces. The Chiller weaving and bobbing from him to try to avoid contact with Luke. And in the background, Minico and Zakaria, the last 2 in the point spots, as Blonde now taking it for AlphaTauri. Had to start last. Jack Miles being overtaken by Korsman now, as Scyther tries to fend them off. The Chiller down the inside. The Chiller's finally through.
Korsman all out of shape in turn number 3, but somehow
Luke
kept the
now.
car together. Oh, someone's off. Someone's
Alpine,
spun.
ghosted. Luke, sliding. He's lost places. So those soft tires are wearing down on him.
Well, don't forget, Luke is on 8 lap old soft tires. So those tires are really wearing apart for him.
Well, still a lot can happen here in these closing stages for sure. Korsman will get DRS once it's enabled on either this lap or the next lap that we're coming up on.
I think
Some
it's going to
places
be the
being traded
final
to
lap.
further back. Yes, you're correct about that, actually. My bad. However, can Scyther get another podium in Baku? As of the drivers who've had the most podiums in Baku, he's one of them. He's had 3. We saw Ferrari being challenged in this section, and they folded under pressure. It was Cam. Now, Jack trying to hang on. Can't hang on much longer against this McLaren of Scyther. Using all the battery. Scyther through, but not clear fully just yet. Blonde also for AlphaTauri. Good run for him. He's getting through, picking up the pieces on Luke, who's fallen down the order. Scyther overtakes Jack finally. He's clear. Zakaria holding on to Minico, and Zakaria's hit the wall twice. Minico into the wall too. They've both came together, and now Bieniek going to try to pick up some points for Williams from that.
Absolutely, and DRS is actually now enabled, so I was off by a lap. And Korsman trying to stay in tune with Cookie. They're very close together. We're gonna have, I know for sure, we're gonna have a last lap war between these two.
Well, the good thing I could say is at least Cookie's being challenged. Places being swapped all the way from 9th to wherever that DRS train goes to in 13th. Barney in on the action, just waiting for something to happen to pounce. If Cookie were to be in a position to break his front wing at any point, now's the time. Korsman just smacked the wall a little bit, but This is the first time this season he's seeing real pressure. And it's coming from the previous Shizou driver, now in TAS.
I am literally on the edge of my commentary seat right now, just watching these two battle it out. And this is gonna be a good fight of the ages for this season between Korsman and Cookie as they get out of the final chicane. They're gonna get on board to start the final lap. Who is going to blink first and claim victory?
Korsman's coming. They're both in the same voice chat, so they know this is going to happen. Here comes Korsman. Cookie's not been under pressure this race at all, but finally, as we reach the last lap, Korsman through into the lead. Behind that, the Chiller, Jack, TB, 3 cars under a blanket, and Cookie lost some time there at turn 1.
Cookie looked like he caught a little bit of the curb and got loose, but he's still in control. Now DRS enabled for Cookie. Is he going to make the bonsai shot into turn number 3?
Here he goes! Late on the brakes, down the inside. Cookie waiting to make the move now. He's not going to wait much longer around the outside. Korsman slides. Cookie with the switchback. What a move. What a way to plant your car. But now Korsman as Sector 2 still leads. Wow. Unbelievable.
Well, just bear in mind, Cookie's got 40% of his ERS available. Korsman has 10.
Cookie trying to win for a 4th straight time. Something that has only been done just a couple of times in RPL history is the battle for the podium with Scyther still is on. That's only been done, by the way, 4 different times. The Chiller, his teammate, Luke, and Scyther. Luke's done it twice, Scyther's done it once, and now Cookie has just 5/10 to gain. And DRS, one last time to try to pick off Korsman. One final sector, one final time, the battery being dumped. It's going to help Cookie, who has more battery. Korsman, a 5/10 gap. Here we go. Korsman leading the charge. Cookie with a last lap overtake. Photo finish time. He breezes past. And to win a 4th race in a row, he's done it on the last lap. Cookie, 4 in a row for Red Bull and for himself. He does it. TB gets the Chiller for 4th now as Scyther hangs on for the podium. Here we go. More fights. Minico for points. Here we go. 3 cars about to go 3 wide. Photo finish. Wow.
Oh my God.
Wow. Cookie with a last lap overtake that just seems so impossible from 6/10 back. He breezed past the McLaren with a second more overspeed on that last lap to win a 4th race in a row. He was not going to be denied, that's for sure. And he is in the record books in the top 5 for 4 or more consecutive wins. He's still not going to be stopped here in RPL Season 10. Oh, my word.
Wow.
May I just add, those McLaren boys were in the same voice chat with Cookie. The whole race. It comes down to one last lap where Cookie picked off Korsman. And it looked like Korsman's race on the last lap to control, but he couldn't control it much longer with no battery to spare. Well played by Cookie, says in vain, and I'd have to agree.
Really helped Cookie out. And I'm just also gonna mention, big props to those two giving us a good fight right at the end. So
yes,
but look at towards the end of that top 10. Blonde started last, he finished 7th. Beatnik got top 10 in the Williams.
Congrats on his return. He's been out for a little bit. Beatnik has finally moved back to his old area he used to live in. Here's your final results, folks. Yeah, I just would like to add with that said, Titan, some good contenders for Driver of the Day. Scyther running off the podium for a 41st time. The Chiller, Jack, Blonde, Luke, Beatnik, Be Good. The points runners. Be Good all the way to Typical, only separated by less than a 10th. 3 wide finish there. my driver of the day is Blonde. I'm giving it to him as I have got to go here in a minute or two.
All right.
Fair play from not qualifying.
Agreed.
Showing his pace again. Blonde, a previous champion in RPL in one of the tiers, I believe it was either Tier 2 or F2. Still doing some magic here in a reserve appearance for AlphaTauri with both full-time drivers not here today. Yeah, props to Scyther, props to Luke as well, coming back from their struggles in this race. I mean, my goodness. I think almost with Luke's collision as well. I know he was at fault, might be getting a penalty. He's a good shout. So many good shouts from today's race. My goodness. What a race. And I loved the recovery, by the way, too, from Scyther. And all those drivers who had issues in that first half. But, my goodness. Well, Titan, how about you tell the folks where we are next week before we end it off?
I gladly shall. So next week, tomorrow, just to put out there, Formula Endurance will be racing around in Portimao. So you'll be on deck for that one. But then next week, let's see. So Tier 2 will be racing around the streets of Singapore at Marina Bay. And then for Tier 1 next week, we are going to be heading to the Hard Rock Stadium, racing around in Miami.
Some people might be making some certain jokes about the Hard Rock Stadium, but I'm going to tell you right now, can't wait to get there. All right, for those of you who joined in, so many of you watched that finish. I may think there was a record number on this game cycle of viewers for RPL Tier 1. Thank you all for those who joined in today and joined us for the action. Join us tomorrow and next week as well for RPL. Continue to follow the action here. I'm your commentator signing off tonight, Ryan Searles, and alongside me to join the action, thank you once again, Titan Iron, to have you alongside. Good night, folks, and we hope to see you for the next stream. Goodbye.